Welcome back to a Weekly Manga Podcast book club series where we deep dive and explore the monthly big Gangan series, The Apothecary Diaries by Natsu Hyuga and NekoKurage. My name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel, and I am joined, of course, by my constant co-host, Gautam.
Hello, hello.
This week we'll be discussing Volume 2, which covers chapters 5 through 8. As always, a fair warning that the Apothecary Diaries deals with some adult language and topics, so if you aren't of age or uncomfortable with those ideas, try another video on this channel. Let's jump in with some quick thoughts, Gautam. How'd you feel about Volume 2 here?
It was a lot of fun. It flew by. It flew by really fast. Mm-hmm. I think unlike the other series here, like Nausicaa and Gachi Akita, I have, I suppose, less things to say, but I had a really good time reading it.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I enjoyed this more than Volume 1, I think. I think Volume 1 was good, but this one moved a lot of things in a direction that I thought were more interesting. I think especially with Mao Mao, I think the lead character, I think it's in the very first chapter here where she has a moment where I'm just like, that's way more dramatic and interesting than I was expecting.
Yeah, it was like the freckles moment, right?
Well, there was that, but there was also when she gets like violent with, that's in chapter 6. Chapter 5 when she gets violent with that girl. That was the part where I was like, oh shit, like this is serious. But yeah, it also had, even more of the kind of historical, cultural society, look into that and how the inner courts and all this stuff worked, which is interesting. And Mao Mao has a conversation about how it's basically okay to sell your family members, even though slavery is illegal. Like, you can't sell people who aren't your family members, but if they're your family members, you can just sell them. Like, which is kind of wild.
Because your parents are like your owners.
Yeah.
Or something. They have like,
and I think especially,
sell you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially if you're a girl during this time, that's true. So, lots of interesting stuff in here. And I liked the last 2 chapters, I guess, kind of starting off maybe a bigger arc. We've only really had arcs that were 1 or 2 chapters. This one looks to be maybe a couple more. So, curious to see where that goes. Yeah. Really dense series, even though it goes by really fast. I was like, taking pictures to bring to the podcast was difficult because it's like, wow, there's just like so much happening on every page. It's hard to like skip a page.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. It was a short read, but every page was like packed with something, like, kind of like FMA in One Piece. Yeah,
for sure. Cool. You want to jump right into the chapter 5 here?
Let's hit it.
Cool. Gorgeous spread pages too, by the way. You get about 1 a chapter, maybe a little less, but NekoKurage is a heck of an artist. Really good here.
For real.
Chapter 5 here, I believe we meet the Emperor finally, who looks like the most generic Chinese emperor I could imagine, I guess. Who's a younger guy. I mean, like, he's like 30s, 40s probably, but
I you know what? I'm surprised to see him, because
Me too,
I thought he would be kind of this like nebulous figure we only hear about, like there's someone we only hear like, oh, he demands this or he demands that, but we never actually see on screen till like much later.
Yeah. He definitely doesn't seem totally unpleasant, I guess. He doesn't seem like a bad dictator or anything. It's also interesting here to where the first time we see him, he's like, he's like sitting up on a big pedestal, and it's like, no, he's like at a table, and like the same eye line as Mao Mao, which is very interesting. And we know that what's his name?
I like how Mao Mao is so short.
Yeah,
same eye line while sitting down.
But I think the interesting thing about Mao Mao in kind of in the mystery and the intrigue of this series so far is that she kind of sees right through anytime someone is trying to like use subtext or manipulate someone else. Like the Emperor here asks her like attend to her, and she immediately is like, oh, other words, he has heard that I have cured people and he wants me to cure her. Like, she knows exactly what he wants, as opposed to like you being confused. Like, Mao Mao's never really confused about what's going on, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that as well. And it's like I think it's funny for like she has that vibe for anyone she thinks to be like capable of duplicity. She's like she doesn't attribute that the other person's being disingenuous or speaking in like other words with people like the doctor guy or someone who she thinks is like a simple easy to
like
character.
too stupid to manipulate her.
Yeah, all to say, like, when Jinshi is being earnest, she anticipates he has like ulterior motives, even when he doesn't. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I like how she's written.
Yeah, it definitely is. So she gets sent. Her order here is to see to Consort Liwa, who is the girl from chapter 1 and 2. The other consort who had a baby that we learned died. I think maybe in chapter 2 or end of chapter 1 or something. But
right from the powder.
The
face powder.
Spoilers for end of the chapter, but yeah.
That was in chapter 1.
Well, yeah, but it's also in this chapter, so.
Double spoiler,
yeah, looking ahead. But yeah, obviously the other ladies in waiting are very mean to her, which is kind of a classic. This is probably going to happen to her a lot, because she's kind of smarter. She's just smarter and can read. And
she's built different.
Mamo is just built different. This is true.
Yeah.
And Mamo is like trying to feed Liwa like stuff that her weak body can digest and give her nutrients, and they're like, "Oh, that's disgusting. It's gruel. You can't feed her that." But yeah, we go over a little bit of history. Like, the face powder's been banned. The merchant selling was punished. She's not exposed to the poison anymore. And this is where she talks about like the kind of food I'm trying to feed her. She says, "I have the right to be here by virtue of the Emperor's direct order, and I even had a meal prepared to help her body purge the toxin." Again, she's just like 6 steps ahead of everybody else. Jinshi shows up here, and all the girls kind of swoon, and they kind of hate Mao because she talks very casually with Jinshi here. So,
also they just hate her.
They do just.
So it's like it's double whammy here.
And they also like Jinshi. So yeah. Yeah, but Jinshi again, also very smart and skilled at navigating these things. He kind of, I think, sees what's going on and is like, "Oh, they are not letting Mao cure this girl who the Emperor ordered her to cure." So he's basically like, "Hey, the Emperor told this girl to be here. Let her do her thing." Basically, like.
But he says it in a way where he's like complimenting them at the same time.
Yeah, disdaining the Emperor's will simply does not suit such beautiful and wise women such as yourself. Like, literally, you girls are smarter than this. And they're like, "Oh, of course, you're right, Mr. Jinshi." So they finally let Mao see Liwa, because I think they'd be keeping her away at this point. And she, like, this is my favorite part of the chapter, which is what I was talking about kind of in the intro there. She, like, goes and looks at her face and is immediately, like glaring, and it's like, "Is it you who does it, Consort Liwa's makeup?" And she's like, "Yes." He's like, "That's right. Like, I want Consort Liwa to be beautiful always, no matter her condition. That's my job as her lady in waiting." He's like, "I see," and just fucking bitch slaps her. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And I like this next page that we see here because she's like, it's a very JoJo-esque page. Go one more over.
Yeah.
Next. It's like her JoJo menacing face.
Well, and the crazy
at the
thing
top
is,
there.
Yeah, it's so good. The crazy thing is, when I read this, I was like, "Oh, one slap. Okay, yeah." Like, she's knocked some sense to her, and it's like, nope, it is not over. Mao, like, grabs her by the hair, and, like, I think we skipped a page here, but she, like, goes eye to eye with her, and then she, like, drops the poisonous face powder, like, on her head, and it's like, it won't be long before the poison makes its way around her. Like, literally poisons her.
I think she's just being dramatic, but like
she is, but like, yeah,
but it's like pure disdain, right? It's like she's very angry, which is interesting because like she wasn't angry despite being bullied for like 2 months, right? Getting shit knocked out of her hands and all that.
Yeah, she
was apathetic towards that, but she shows like absolute disdain when it comes to like gross negligence like this.
Well, I think this is a good kind of heroic character trait in that Mao cares more about other people than she kind of does about herself in a way. Like, she doesn't care if other people are mean to her or whatever, but if like you're poisoning someone else, like she cares.
Yeah.
Which I think
despite knowing better, right?
Yeah. Despite literally being told, and like we saw a couple pages ago, like they banned that powder and like jailed the guy who was selling it.
In, yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's both like a heroic thing, but like overly brutal, right?
She goes hard on this girl, yeah.
Through our like modern lens, it's a very brutal thing. So I don't know. It's just really interesting. I like it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. This really added a layer of depth to Mao to me that not necessarily was missing, but I appreciated that it was added here. Yeah, here we go. It's like, do you know why they banned this stuff? It's poison. Like, I just like she goes way harder than I was expecting, and I think it's cool. I mean, like, it's the prettiest. It's like you can't bother to use your head, but you're convinced you're in the right. Like, again, the art here.
I love that. I love that. That line is what I want to tell people a million times a day.
Yeah.
You can't be bothered to use your head, but you're convinced you're right.
Yeah. I forgot how long this goes on of her like abusing her. Like she slaps her, she grabs her by the hair, she drops poison on her head.
Saying, dude.
She holds her hair
brutal.
and goes eye to eye. She like holds the poison and yells at her. She like puts more of it on her hand and puts it in her face and grabs it. Like this is like 10 pages of Mao Mao going in on this lady in waiting.
That's why I'm not sure it's like purely heroic. It's like vigilante justice is what it feels like somehow.
Yeah, for sure. But also like Jinshi was just there and was like, the emperor told her to do this. So
she's in the right, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but it's funny how ham she goes on this lady.
It is. She goes kind of insane. And then we kind of get the recovery arc at the end of the chapter where she like, oh yeah, we found out that like no one had been like washing or cleaning Lady Liwa either, because ladies in waiting didn't want to do that, I guess. So
they've just been like putting incense in to cover sick smell and putting makeup on her.
It's literally high school girl, like, or not even high school, like high school boy, like, oh no, I haven't showered in 3 days. Better spray Axe body spray all over myself.
Right, exactly.
but 1400s China version.
Them's the strats.
Yeah. So I think Liwa finally ends up getting like some food over time. And this is another good part. She asked Mao Mao like, why didn't you just let me die? Like, I was mean to you. I was bad to you. She's like, I lost my child. Like, I just kind of want to die. And she's like, the fact that you're eating tells me you don't want to die. And then she does make a recovery in the end. And then there's a little bit of consort, not really drama, but she's kind of like, well, I poisoned my own child. I'm a failure. Will the emperor ever want me back as a consort? She's kind of doubting that. And then Mao Mao's like, girl, you got big boobs. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
She like talks about the other consorts like, oh, I'm not as like, I don't have fair hair like the whoever the main kind of consort is. And it just like is a bunch of stuff like focusing on her boobs. And Mao Mao's like, I think you have certain charms, my lady. It's like, they're sheer bounty alone for one, all the way down to their shape and bounce. They're your greatest assets. And she like whispers in her ear and is like tells her some secret from the brothel she used to work at. Ladies in the pleasure district call a secret art, which is like too bad for me. I haven't the melons required for that trick. Thereafter, His Majesty's visits to the Jade Palace dropped off drastically. And this is I believe this is the end of chapter 5. So,
yeah, I love that chapter.
Yeah, it was really good. Like I something about it, because the chapter 1, volume 1, obviously is sort of an intro, get to know everyone. It isn't allowed to kind of like fully go ham. I don't know. This is my favorite part of the volume, I think, is Mao Mao going just like absolutely brutal on that girl for 10 pages, being like, you poisoned her. I also appreciate
that while it was kind of framed to look like a medical mystery chapter, it wasn't really like Mao Mao knew what was up right from the get-go and how to like
as soon as she saw Liwa's face,
cure Liwa, but it was the human element of like her attendants bungling everything that was the main conflict. I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. It wasn't like you said, it was not a medical mystery. It was more of a, oh, we already solved this mystery. You people are just so stupid you didn't listen. Cool. Let's go to chapter 6. So she, oh God, I should have looked up the names because they're Chinese, which is even harder to remember than Japanese names. Mao Mao's back with her regular consort who she's serving, whose name I can't remember.
I'm forgetting too.
But the other ladies in waiting here are sort of like getting her to try some stuff on, and they're getting ready for the garden banquet, which is kind of the rest of this volume. So they're talking about the garden banquet. It's an event held twice a year in the palace gardens. Important guests, features loads of entertainment as well as a feast for all. This is kind of like a end of the year office party, if I guess you could say. Everybody goes, and you go to kind of rub elbows with the big people. And it tells us here about the principal consorts, which are these 4, who I think that we went over this maybe in chapter 1 a little bit, but we didn't learn kind of about all of them. The four highest ranking women among the emperor's secondary wives. I think he has a primary wife that I don't know if we've met her yet. But
or maybe they're all secondary. I don't know.
They might all be secondary. I don't know exactly how this works. I'm learning along with reading. So,
yeah.
But yeah, we have this. Here she is, Lady Gyokyo. That's the one that Mao works for. Lady Liwa, who we saw in the last chapter. We have Lady Aduo, the pure consort, and Lady Lishu, the virtuous consort, who we will learn a little bit more about in the coming chapters. But these four are kind of the most powerful ladies in the court. So.
So does a pure consort not have sex with the emperor?
I think this is probably a translation thing. I think the idea of Western purity is probably different from whatever word is being used here. I don't know what, I mean, the worthy, the honor, the virtuous, the pure, like, I don't know. Those words don't mean much in this context, I feel like, because it's like, they're all worthy. They're all consorts. They're all worthy, I would assume. They're all, pure.
I assume like worthy means like that they kind of had to work for the job, and honored is like a status thing. But I don't know. Maybe. This is like me assigning meaning to what I'm not really sure how their hierarchy works. Yeah, I'm curious if they explain that.
I feel like this is more of a kind of historical, how do I put it? Like, there is nothing in the titles they are given that actually reflects who they are. It's just like, they're a powerful person. We give them some kind of title, like some kind of cool title. Like like knights in the old time were like, oh, he's the knight of the Western Crow or something. It's like, does that mean he has anything to do with the crow? It's like, no, it's a cool name we gave him. So.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I want a cool name, so I guess that tracks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're kind of telling her more about the winter banquet here. And Mao was like, wait, does this mean Jinshi's going to be there? And this excitable consort, who I think, we get her name maybe in a little bit, but it's like, it's war. We must prepare ourselves. Basically, all the main four consorts and their ladies in waiting are, they know that they kind of have to fight it out, like in the back, like not fight it out, but like it's a contest, like it's a popularity contest, essentially.
Yeah, it's basically a high society, like optics battle.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it is very much, I would say, like high school popularity at the dance, right? Like everyone's going to be there.
Except it's like Downton Abbey,
Yeah. I think it's a perfect comparison. Yeah, it's just Chinese Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
But yeah, they talk about doing her makeup. Talking about how big stuff is. Mao makes some little candies that'll warm you up because ginger is kind of a spicy thing. And then she's like, oh, I was making something else too. And it's like, huh, what? And basically he's like, oh, I sewed a pocket to put a hot rock into, which is interesting. Like, it's weird because you think about like, oh yeah, this is like 700 years ago or something. And it's like, yeah, oh yeah, they would just hot rocks. Like they didn't have hand warmers or like real thick clothing or so. Yeah.
So it's kind of funny, right? Like I don't think this really adds any relevant moment to this volume. Like her sewing the pockets for the hot rocks. I don't think it adds anything to the story, but I like it because it's just like it's like, oh, hey, check out this funny this simple invention I made. It just shows that she's thinking outside the box at all times.
Definitely. Well, and I think that there's an angle of it that we don't, I don't know if we necessarily don't talk about it, but it's not brought up, but it's like, this is a historical manga. Like it is fictional, but it seems pretty accurate to the times that it is written in. Like that.
Right.
So
there's
this
no
is
heater.
Yeah.
They just have like a grill with some hot rocks and they grill the rocks and like use them for heat. What do they do with the rocks if they're not putting them in pockets though?
I don't know. That's but this is like, I mean, like I've seen like videos of survival tips or, guys who go out into the wild alone and build survival things. And they'll do this. If it's very cold, they will put rocks in the fire and then those rocks will hold heat for longer and they'll, put them under their bed or whatever.
Oh, so I see.
This is like a real thing that people still do. So I just think it's cool to have like a little historical,
No, I love
world building. And yeah, the excitable handmaiden here is like, please, it's so cold, make these for all of us. So Mama basically ends up making one of these pockets for like everyone because everyone realizes like this is the winter banquet and it is very cold.
Is it like this is the problem with it being smarter than everyone around you is that
they ask you to do all
the work. She has to like be like a mini inventor on top of being a doctor.
Yep. We get a little bit of foreshadowing here. she says, maybe I'll make that just in case too. I don't think we've come across what this is in this volume yet.
Yeah, I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, but so there's something else. There's something planted here for the future. Yeah, Day of the Garden Banquet. We're getting started here. Yeah, Lady. Oh God, Gyokyo.
Gyokyo.
Yeah, wears red. They kind of talk about each consort has their own kind of color assigned to them. Yeah, and everyone is getting all dressed up. And yeah, Gyokyo kind of gives her a necklace to wear. And then the girls grab Mao they're like, oh, we're going to clean your face and do your makeup.
Yeah, they were going to say it's fine if like the freckles come off every now and again. They were going to like cover her freckles with makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And instead they are all surprised. It's like, Mao, you. And we kind of cut away. And we meet the consort Li Shu, who is I don't remember which consort she was, but
she was the not the pure one, is virtuous.
Virtuous. That sounds right. Yep.
She's like 15, right?
Yeah. I think we learn later she's 14 right now, or 14. Maybe a little bit older. Maybe she was 14 when something happened. I don't remember. That's I think in the last chapter.
They say she's very young.
She's the youngest, I think, of all of them.
Yeah.
Although I assume fairly young, except for the one who's mentioned who's older. But I think older probably needs like 30.
They're all in like their. I feel like Gyokyo and the one with the big boobs. They're probably in their late 20s, right? Or third.
I would say mid to early 20s, probably. But
you think so? That yeah.
I'm doing anime maths where like the one consort they say like, oh, she's the oldest one. Like I'm assuming she's 30 because like that is old for anime.
You might be right. You might be right given what they say a little later on in this chapter.
Yeah. So yeah, we got Jinchi doing. Jinchi thinks he's mostly absent from this volume, which was okay. I do think that still the best part of the series is him and Mao interacting, but not a whole lot of that. So.
But I guess this volume he didn't really have a lot of skin in the game to like actually be. I think the author wanted him around to just show their dynamic, but he didn't really have a stake in any of the conflicts. So
yeah, I think at the very end he gets more involved. So I think we'll see him more in the kind of continuing of that. But yeah. So yeah, this is kind of Jinchi getting stunned by like Mao's new makeup, where she does not have the freckles, and. He kind of notices, he's like, are you wearing makeup? Like, I didn't recognize you. She's like, I am not wearing makeup. He's like, but your freckles are gone. You covered them up. He's like, nope, they're gone because I removed my makeup. And he's like, what? Basically, she tells him that like she used to add freckles to herself to make herself seem more homely and less pretty, so that when she worked in the brothel, men would not steal her.
Or like try to like rape her or something.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, though it's the pleasure district, there are men who are starved for female companionship. They have no money for a brothel, tend to violence, and often carry venereal diseases as well. Just throw that in the pile. Being a small, scrawny, homely girl made me less likely to be a target. So again, her smarts kind of aiding her out there. And she says,
I love this twist. It's very in character of how utilitarian Mao is. It's a logical choice. It's fucked up and telling of the times, but I miss her freckles. It was like a unique characteristic. I think she actually looks better with the freckles.
I wonder if she brings them back just because she likes them or something.
For sure, right? Like it's I think it's a unique character identifier. But
yeah, it also ties it to kind of the start of the story where she says like when she went out to harvest ingredients for the dye she needed to refresh her freckle tattoos, she mentioned she used to tattoo them on her face. She was kidnapped by flesh merchants, she calls them.
Flesh merchants.
Yeah, which are the guys who sold her to the court in the first place. So
I love calling slavers flesh merchants in this manga.
Yeah.
She refers to them as flesh merchants every single time.
Yeah. And yeah, it's like, doesn't it make you angry? And she's like, of course, but like, I don't blame you. Like, you weren't the one. Again, Mao being very mature she's what, 17 here?
Yeah, she has a strong sense of justice. So sure. She's not blaming everyone around for her situation.
Yeah. Hashtag not all men, thanks Mao.
Yeah, true. That That's what she was going for, I'm sure.
Exactly, yeah. And this is where she mentions part it's like, in this land, abducting and selling a person is a crime, but selling a family member to reduce the number of mouths to feed is legal. And then Jinshi gives her a hairpin of some kind of hair ornament. And he looks kind of like flustered. I think Jinshi is a little, how do I say this? I think he knows about the outside world, but I think he's less worldly than Mao Mao is. Like, so I think he's learning more things about like the troubles that people outside the court had to go through that before they showed up here. A lot of them.
I thought this was a sign of courtship, of like interest.
Yeah, I think maybe there's part of that. I don't know how.
Because he's blushing, right? He's blushing and making a flustered face.
Do you think this is a romance that's happening in the series or not? I
think it's a one-sided romance on Jinshi's part.
Okay, maybe I would see that. I
don't think Mao Mao connected the dots on any of this. Like, I'm pretty sure that's why I mentioned like she has an excellent read on people, except people who are capable of duplicity, in which she always assumes like kind of what's their intention with this. You know, it's like it's like what kind of scheme do they got going on? And I don't think she assumed that this is Jinshi actually kind of earnestly giving her something. Instead, she's just like confused. Like, what's the play here, bro?
Yeah, that's true. I could definitely see that because I do think Mao Mao would be confused if this was real sort of romance, quote unquote, like an honest expression from Jinshi. I think she would be less likely to notice than a lie from him.
Yeah, exactly. I think this was maybe the first honest thing Jinshi has done for Mao Mao.
Yeah, I think I do think this comes from kind of a little bit of a place of pity also, though, because like, you know, I think that Jinshi is like, he seems kind of highborn and he knows how to navigate the courts, obviously, kind of better than anybody else. But I think that he lacks the knowledge of like, the real world for the peasant people outside is like tough, like really tough, and especially for someone who like worked in a brothel or that was, you know, something like that. So
because real people have to struggle with things, whereas he is like, he has enough privilege to be able to play this political game that he's playing, right? So he's like kind of separated from reality. I think it's both for sure, because Mao Mao is also wholly unique in that she is a genius, is, as you see now, beautiful. Mm-hmm. Because apparently people hate freckles in manga.
It's weird. I don't know. It's weird.
And so on, right? Like, and is immune to his charm. So he's like, she is not, quote unquote, not like all the other girls. I can see why Jinshi is kind of smitten here.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing that Jinshi is smitten with is that I don't think Jinshi has ever found anyone else in the court who can like go toe to toe with him as in like smart.
I know, intellectually, right?
And, basically. And Mao Mao is like the first person who's like, oh, this girl is like smart, like smarter than me, probably. So, and
I'm sure he appreciates having like an earnest conversation that's real and not
from someone who isn't smitten with him. So
not only is like smitten with him, because most people are. You're right. That's like one side of things, but the other side of things are people are all playing this political game. So there's not that many real people outside of that either, right? So
for sure,
I'm sure there's some factors.
It's a very complex, dramatic adult dynamic, which I appreciate. It is really difficult to get in a lot of the media we consume. So
I will say I am pretty sure Mao Mao is not remotely into him.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Nor is she aware of anyone's feelings towards her.
Yeah. I like that she's just like, a man's hairpin's like, I keep getting a bunch of these. Like, why do people like me? So that's pretty funny. And
you know how someone can be incredibly perceptive about everything around them except when it comes to themselves.
Yeah.
And like how people perceive them and like the effect they have on the world. That seems like Mao Mao. You know, I think she's like very alert and focused in on everything else, but not so much how people view her, right?
Yeah. I think that kind of ties in, like we were saying, with sort of her, she doesn't care how people treat her, but she really cares that others are treated well, that kind of characteristic of her. So it's kind of like, she's not super interested in how people treat her, because she's been, I think, treated poorly or, you know, like a poor person and possibly worse in a brothel through the years. So she has like next level confidence.
I don't think she even cares.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get more into that later, but yeah. Anyway, that was a side tangent. Let's keep going.
Cool. Yeah. So keeping going, Gyokyo here is like, you may be my lady in waiting, but you're no longer mine alone. It's like first a necklace, now a hairpin. Like, what in the world? Yeah, she just like doesn't get it. It's like, what do they mean? So the guard banquet is about to begin. These will be the next 2 chapters here. But yeah, and everybody's all dressed up and pretty, and we're gonna get into some drama. So this is chapter 7 now, I believe. And yeah, it's cold. They go outside in the dead of winter, and it's cold.
I like how the girls all have a strong bond with each other.
Yeah, it's
they all got each other's backs.
Yeah, and they're bringing Mao Mao into it, which I think is great. It's like, I see why his songs are so popular. Great little spread page there. Yeah, chapter 7. Yeah, so there's a lot of how do we say it? There's a lot of politicking set up in this kind of chapter now. So the woman sitting beside the emperor here, holding the princess, is the Empress Dowager, who is the last emperor's widow. So this guy's dad's widow. This is his stepmom.
Stepmom?
Yeah,
okay.
Can't be his mom because I think she's younger than he is. So.
Oh, is she? Okay, yeah.
I feel like they said something that implied that, or like very similar age, if not younger. But
they did say. Oh, actually, no. She is the emperor's mom. She just looks because at the bottom right, you see she had the emperor when she was years old.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was. I remember there was something about her age. It was yeah.
So she just had him super duper young.
Yeah, the Empress Dowager must have labored very hard indeed to bear him.
I like how the author even like just bleeped out the age because it's like just know it's way too young.
Yeah,
I'm not going to let you spiral out on this one. Yeah.
Which will not be the last time we have that kind of thing talked about in this series. They also mention here reserved for the Majesty's younger brother, who is also the Empress Dowager's son. Is this Jinshi? Is my first question, because I think it is.
Oh.
Because they talk about him like, oh, I've heard all kinds of rumors about him. Say he has a weak constitution and he rarely leaves his chamber. He's like, I think it's Jinshi.
Yeah, that sounds like him, right? Or maybe it's a new character.
Yeah, I was about to say that, or it's a new character who will be important, in the next volume or something. Because
I think it would make sense for it to be Jinshi though, because he has such an ear in with the Emperor, right? So
yeah, they say it's like he's like his best friend. So I think that this is a political move of literally it's the Emperor's brother instead of the Emperor's friend, and they tell him he's hidden away, and this is
they say the brother's hidden away while Jinshi's the real brother and can go do shit and actually be useful without having the connection be made public, right?
Well, and also even though everyone does love Jinshi for being kind of a pretty boy and Jinshi, they aren't cozying up to him for political reasons of it's the Emperor's brother. I want to marry the Emperor's brother or whatever, right? Like, so we can avoid that. Like, they want him because he looks good, not because his political
and he can make moves
status.
without like political opposition knowing that they're related.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
This makes sense to me. I think could be a new character, but they like really hang a lantern on this where they call it out. They're like, oh, I've heard all kinds of rumors. That's where his younger brother sits, like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, so he doesn't carry out his official duties? I don't know. There's just so much going on here that it feels like it's either Jinshi or it's a new important character we haven't met yet.
Whose baby is that?
That is... Is
that Gyokyo's baby?
Is that Gyokyo's baby? I think maybe it is, because she did give birth to a daughter, if I remember right. I think it is Gyokyo's baby, because we see her later on.
It looks like her red hair, right? So yeah,
or she's blonde or like brunette or something. I don't know. They say she has like fluffy different. Yeah, she has like fluffy different hair than the other girls who have Asian. They've kind of flat black hair.
I don't know why. I always imagine. This seems red to me. Like, even though it's all gray, right? This seems like red or pinkish to me.
They do say her color is red in the dress she wears, so she could have red hair. That would be interesting.
Oh, okay.
I wonder. Okay, I'm gonna check with the anime.
This is like when I first read My Hero Academia, I thought Uraraka had blonde hair.
Oh, they do kind of give her. They give her like the pink hair.
What is that called? Cherry. Oh yeah,
they give her kind of like pink, reddish
pink.
Hair. Yeah, a little anime, but yeah. So yeah, that makes sense to me. Cool. So that we get this is where what they were talking about last chapter. The ladies in waiting of like you got to fight for your consort because they're going to fight, and some other girls. I think is it Lady? This is the older Lady Adua. Because her consorts here that start a fight.
Oh yeah. This is yeah, the lady she just cured.
Oh,
right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Is it Liwa? Yeah.
Yeah, this is Liwa's consorts because they back down when they recognize Mao Mao.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because they're like, "Did you leave that freckle face behind today?" Of course, he has like. I love how mean they are. It's great. Like literally, it's like high school politics. It's great. It's like, of course you did. Bringing such an ugly girl along could only prove a source of grave embarrassment. Who would bestow a jeweled ornament on that creature? It would be a waste. And like, I love how Mamo does not care. She's just like, like they're talking about.
I think she is like a little bit tone deaf when it comes to herself. Because she says we were getting on so well too.
Oh, I thought they liked me. It's like, nope.
And then she does this like rapey joke to this lady.
Is that what this is?
It's what it came off as, right?
Maybe
it's like
I guess a little bit. Yeah, I don't know.
Wall slam in a menacing face, and he's like, and then she says, "The courtesans at the pleasure district would have appreciated that joke."
Yeah, I guess I don't know exactly what to think. I think you're right that it is something sexual, but I don't know if my mind can make a connection past that. It's like into what she's implying exactly. But
I'm not sure what the joke would be. Is because I can make the connection, but so Mama's like tone deaf joke here.
Yeah.
Like maybe like insane joke to tell Mao. This
yeah, someone call like, it. Whoa, not the like read the room.
I like how she was like, we were getting on so well after that.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because she does notice it. She's like, oh, how cruel to have been forgotten after spending 2 whole months together. She like recognizes that they're being cruel to her, but she's also just like, I don't really care.
But she says the cruel part is that they don't recognize her, not that they were talking mad shit.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. And then when they recognize her, she's like, like, I think we'll take pity on you and leave for today. It's like, who do they think they are? Yeah.
I'm impressed by Mao in these particular scenes because she's not affected whatsoever by these people's hater energy.
Yeah, she's like a smirk on her face. She's like, haha, I scared them again.
And at the end of this chapter, she goes and helps them with something.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff.
Also, I thought this is funny where the other ladies in waiting are like, where she's like, oh, do you want a new stone? And just like, as if her unfortunate personal circumstances weren't bad enough. So great is her fear of men that she disfigures her own face. Not to mention she was made to endure 2 entire months of ferocious bullying at the Crystal Palace, and yet she bears it all without a word of complaint and even worries about our well-being. It's like completely misread Mao, but it's funny.
You know, it's like this is like such a reasonable read of the situation, which is the funny part. Even though they completely misread her, Mao is just the weird one. They're not wrong in reading it this way because she was kidnapped by slavers and sold to this place, and she does put the freckles on so she doesn't get assaulted. Like, they are kind of right in this assessment. What they're not right about is that Mao doesn't really give a fuck.
Yeah, she does not care. She is the weirdo for sure, which is great. So here's where we get a little bit more of the suspicious things, but like I said, a little bit more history politicking here. 5 years ago, this is talking about the pure consort and the virtuous consort. One was consort to the previous emperor, while the other was consort to the crown prince. However, their relationship was turned on its head with the previous emperor's passing. And this is kind of what you assume here, is that, oh yeah, the last emperor had a thing with the older consort, and the younger one had a thing with the crown prince, blah, blah, blah. Late emperor's passing, pure consort was 30 years old, and the virtuous consort was 9. Politics may have demanded it, but the idea of a 9-year-old consort certainly gives me pause. And then it actually reverses it to where they talk about like how youthful, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I suppose I should be glad that His Majesty doesn't take after the last emperor and shares penchant for little girls. I've heard he is yet to bed the 14-year-old virtuous consort. So yeah, this is the smaller one that we met, I think, last chapter. He may be lusty, but prefers his fruit bountiful and ripe.
Okay. I think this, like, it straddles a line in writing the emperor this way for modern audiences, so we don't think he is irredeemably abhorrent. But she puts that line, he may be lusty, but he prefers his fruit bountiful. Yeah. It's still like an irreverent and scumbaggy line.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe like, oh, the emperor likes big boobs. Like, okay.
Yeah, but it's like, I think it's like, I don't like referring to things as fruit, like humans as fruit.
Well, and it's Mao Mao thinking this, so she thinks about stuff like this, but
but I think essentially it's to like straddle the line between not making the emperor irredeemable, but also making him come off as a questionable moral figure. You know?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's really interesting. It might be the most interesting thing that I noticed in this volume is that Mao Mao has anachronistic views on all of this stuff, which basically, like, if you know what an anachronism is, it's like
what is that? Yeah.
So an anachronism is like if you were writing a book about, I'm trying to think of like a good, like if you were writing a book about like cavemen people and mentioned something like, oh, it ticked like a clock. It's like, well, clocks don't exist in that time frame. So it's bringing something from the present day kind of back into a time where it didn't exist. So the views that Mao Mao has about these consorts being too young and all of this kind of stuff, that is probably actually not a view shared by people during that time period. That was probably not that strange of a thing to like have happened. But
yeah,
I think that it makes the story better in that Mao Mao is this kind of like, well, that's too young. We they should be doing that. That would be weird. But that's an anachronistic view that she brings in. But I do think the story is improved by having that, because I think just writing it off, ignoring it, and talking about it more historically, where probably nobody had a problem with it, back in 14 whatever.
And we're talking about like a girl who uses like borderline modern medicinal practices, right?
Yeah.
That's also an anachronism, but
yeah,
it's like I don't mind that. I think that's just what makes it good. What makes it fun. I would rather this be kind of a cheaty modern worldview and disposition than having the main character be like, yeah, it's totally cool that he's doing all this.
I definitely think that it is a tool used to write for a modern audience that is probably better than going full historical accuracy, right? Which, I mean, we see that she gets the cat ears, which is like an anime thing. Like, there's a bunch of stuff in here that's very much...
especially when it's a running series and you have to root for the character, you want to kind of temper that kind of shit. If this was a movie, then you can make the character a scumbag. That's fine, because we'll be out of there in an hour. But
so another little twist, and they say, it's just absurd, isn't it? Can you imagine having a 9-year-old as your mother-in-law? And she goes, wait, what? And they're like, yep. Turns out actually that this is reversed. Did I have the other one in here? Oh, I didn't. But basically instead of this, it was reversed, where the old emperor had a thing with the younger girl, and the current emperor, who is the crown prince, had a thing with the older girl. So yeah, which is fun.
The younger girl was the Empress Dowager.
No, the Empress Dowager is no. I think this is a different girl. So these are two of the four consorts, right? This is the young one, and this is the older one. And Mao Mao here assumes that the older one had a thing with the older emperor, and the younger one had a thing with the younger crown prince. But in reality, it was reversed. It was the crown prince had a thing with the older girl, and the older emperor who died had a thing with the young girl. So
the 14-year-old?
Yes.
I don't think he touched the virtuous consort.
The old emperor? Me?
Yeah.
No, because I feel like we're told either in this chapter or next one that she hasn't been touched. I think that's right, or maybe in the last chapter. So
okay, I'm probably just.
But it was like a political. Yeah, I mean, like this would be.
Oh, okay.
This quote here.
What the author was saying is that the Empress Dowager was that young when the old emperor was, like, I don't know, impregnating her.
No, maybe now I'm confused
about the virtue.
I thought that they were talking about. I thought that they were talking about how if this had kept going, then the young girl would have been a even younger girl than the Empress Dowager, would have been stepmom, quote unquote, to the current emperor, and she would have been 9 at the time that the emperor died. I think is what this is saying, right?
No. I think what it's saying is that the old emperor who's dead liked him young.
Yes.
That was the Empress Dowager, had the baby really young. And they expected the current emperor to follow the same trends. That's why they have like this 14-year-old virtuous consort who showed up at the late emperor's passing. She was 9 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
and they expected like the current emperor to follow the same trends, but he's also not a pedo, so it didn't happen that way. So the virtuous consort is more so just there at the moment.
Hold on. I'm rereading it now. It's like at the time of the late emperor's passing, the pure consort was 30 and the virtuous consort was 9. Politics may have demanded it, but they didn't have a 9-year-old, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, absurd. Can you imagine having a 9-year-old as your mother-in-law? I don't know. There's some kind of, I thought that this meant that the.
Okay. Yeah. That mother-in-law line is confusing me now too. Okay,
I think that has to do with the virtuous consort. I think that the thing here is that.
Screw the math. I don't want to do it anymore. Let's keep going.
Yeah, who cares? Lady Li Shu is still very young, as the 4 principal consorts are each granted their own emblematic gems and colors. Here's we get to Gyokyo has jade in the color crimson, Liwa crystal and ultramarine blue.
And she says Li Shu is very young right after Li Shu like passes by them and goes humph at them. She makes a humph face. Is it just like a random snark at them? So she's like, she's a kid. Don't don't judge her too much on that one.
Yeah. They talk more about the ornaments that Mama got. If it comes down to being that creature's personal maid, I'd rather opt to be a drudge at the Crystal Palace. I like this lady lady. I don't remember her name, but she's animated and fun, so I like her so far.
All of Mama's pals are all animated. Yeah. They're like foils to her.
Yeah, for sure. They all have kind of different personalities. And then we get this other guy just kind of shows up. This is a weird thing that hopefully is expanded on in the coming chapters. But
I think it will be. It's just some random dude.
Yeah, maybe this is the Emperor's the younger brother. I don't think so, but maybe. But yeah, they're just like
no.
Yeah,
because he gave like a very basic looking.
Yeah, like a stick heroin.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy's name is Lee Haku. He says, "Nice to meet you." He gives her a little thing, and says, "All right, goodbye." It's like, "Oh, he reminds me of a dog. I doubt I'll ever see him again." So taking it was wrong of me. It's like, "Man, did you get that from him?" I don't think it's anything special. And then this is Liwa, who shows up, the girl who he saved in chapter 6, or chapter 5.
Yeah.
And then I like how I'm not zooming in, like in the background, there's like the scared, like a scared girl in the back.
Yeah. They're putting on a tough face, but they fucking hate her.
Yeah.
I love that.
And again, she gets like another hairpin. It's like, this is just, I didn't realize this. Mamo gets like 5 jewelry gifts in 2 chapters here. Like
she is, that's why I think she's confused by all of them.
Yeah.
She's just like, again, I bring it back around to her being tone deaf about herself.
Yeah.
She doesn't understand the impact she's had on people around her.
I think
like her competency is being perceived by everyone.
I think she's got a little bit of what's the where you're like too hard on yourself and you don't think you belong. What's the
imposter syndrome? I don't think it's that at all, because she's too self-confident for that.
Yeah.
But I think she just doesn't realize how that everyone else is just as perceptive as her in this arena, in this particular arena. And they notice her big moves like at every single point, right? Like the Emperor asked her to go heal someone.
And she did. And I think I think Mama looks at that as like, well, I was asked to heal someone. I healed them. So I did my job. I did it well. Good. I'm leaving. And like, she doesn't realize that Liwa is like, you saved my fucking life and I'm giving you a gift because you saved my life. And Mama's like, huh? I don't get it. I just did what I was told.
Yeah. And Jinshi sees her solve these complex mysteries and medical issues.
And save lives. I mean, realistically.
Yeah. So. And she's just like, I just did this because it was interesting. And she moves on and not realizing that everybody has noticed, right?
Yep.
Because I think she's far too confident in herself to have imposter.
Yeah, it isn't imposter syndrome. I think she knows she's good at what she does. I think she doesn't realize what she's doing is actually like very impactful to the people she's helping. She thinks like, I'm helping people, whatever. Right. But the people who she's helping are like, you saved my life. You changed my life. You saved my child. Like very, very appreciative. And she's like, well, whatever. I just did it.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
But yeah, so now we are getting to the big banquet, which Mamo is the food taster for Gyokyo, so she's gonna taste food, obviously. Blah blah blah. We're kind of seeing all of these dudes, all the political dudes lined up. Yeah, impressed with how grand a spectacle it is. To the west, the military officers. To the east, the government officials. They've got us all stayed like this for hours on end. They must have it even worse than us ladies in waiting. I think are we on to chapter 8 now? I don't remember. No, because it's at the end of this. Yeah, so she does the tasting. Blah blah blah. She tastes it. We get a little bit of. Ooh, one sec.
Isn't it?
I just sneezed. Yep. We get a little bit of minor foreshadowing here, where the other taster over there is kind of getting nervous about something. Mamo waxes poetic about poisons. She's like, counted the number of times I vomited and pumped my own stomach just to savor that numbing sensation on the tip of my tongue. This is an example of another anachronism that pumped my own stomach. Like that's a modern day thing that she's talking about.
I think it's just like, I was thinking about it, right? Because if you do any kind of multi-universe or a historical piece, I think it's just impossible because of the epistemology of like so many words are grounded in humanity that I think difficult. Anachronism is unavoidable, right?
It is, but it's used here to speak in a casual tone, and but just as an example, if anyone didn't know what an anachronism is, I'm really
I just don't know what like the right play is for them, right? Is it just to use them, or like would you like if this is an alien world, would you call a phone or a communicator, or would you call that like a florg blorg, some kind of unrecognizable word?
It's interesting, and we'll go on a minor tangent here, but because the anachronisms used when writing something like historical fiction like this can also tell you what modern day time it came from. Like, for instance, if like science fiction from like the 60s and 70s, they would talk about like radio, like interstellar radio, like radio, and like the radio is dead. Like it's 2025, radio is dead. Like any science fiction now would not talk about radio at all. But so stuff like that. That's not really anachronism because it's sci-fi. But if you were,
you can tell with like smartphone culture, right? Mm-hmm. Like where future people are all using like smartphones. It's like this was created after the iPhone came out.
Yeah, for sure.
One of those things. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. But so she's doing tasting here. Kind of notices that she's trembling over here because we'll learn about that in a bit. It's like, I don't think they'd slip up in making one of His Majesty's favorites, but the food service here is skilled. Though the menu remains the same, they adapt the dishes to the individual. So perhaps they gave us another tray by mistake. So she's nervous because we'll learn about this next chapter, but Mama notices that she's eating a slightly different dish than the other taster. I think hers has like, I don't remember what it says. Like hers has like regular fish or something. The other one is cuttlefish, something like that. But and then
and she looks like really like depressed about it, or like really like, oh fuck,
like really nervous. Yeah, she's stressed. But so then we get a little bit kind of a sly grin here.
Like the most maybe the most evil grin you can see, and Mao just like she clocks it instantly, and then she's like, that was unpleasant.
Yep.
She pieced together what happened instantly.
Like at the end of this chapter, you're like, oh, a mystery, and then the start of the next chapter is like, oh no, she got it. Like she knows what happened.
It's like amazing that she put it together just by seeing like a upset look on one face and like an evil grin on another, and she's like, I understand exactly what's going on.
And the swapped dishes.
Good detective work, Mao.
Yep. So she tastes the soup here and she drinks it. She goes, like Mama's so goofy, man. She's just like, oh, I like when it was this delicious. I knew when I saw this page, I was like, oh, it's poison. Like absolutely. I know enough about Mama. Like there's poison in this. That's
100%, right?
Yeah.
This is her Food Wars
moment,
poison-gasm moment.
Yeah. And then this guy's like, just how good is that soup? And everyone's like, huh? And she's like, I detect poison. It's like a very so this is the end of chapter 7. So yeah, a lot of politicking, a lot of weird stuff in there, but it's crazy how like just her kind of going through tasting is actually kind of like exciting. Like this is a very boring event to happen. Like, oh yeah, the food tasters are tasting food before the consorts get it, and it's like exciting and dynamic, and people are stressed and looking at each other, and it's just drawn and pulled us through very well. I liked it. It ends in I detect poison. A great little double page.
Yeah, that was and I think this is like the sweetest she has looked. Like maybe like the happiest and both like most innocent she has like been drawn in this series.
Yeah,
is right after she's consumed poison and got all horny about
They mention it. Yeah, we'll move on to chapter 8. They mention, I think, in this chapter somewhere where they're like, she looked so like happy when she had the poison though. Like, are we sure it's poisoned? Like, she's like, this contains poison. Everyone's like, huh. And they're like, oh, that was for a concert, Kyokyo, right? It's like the honored concert soup was poisoned. It's like, but that other taster ate it just fine. Jinshi watching from the background. Again, I think he doesn't show himself here because I think someone would recognize him as the younger brother. So I think he's playing in the background. That would be my guess.
That would make sense. Because he's a bigwig, right? He'd be eating with the rest of them if that wasn't the case.
And he's also back here, so like, oh, like actually serving up a dish of poison. Like, who in the world would have the gall? Yeah, she runs off like smiling to herself. Garden banquet. Yeah, so she like, washes her mouth with water. He's like, what a lively food taster we have here. She like cannot stop smiling. She's like with poison. It's like good day to you. And Jinshi is showing again, Mao oblivious to the concern that others show for her. He's like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm taking you to the physician, of course. You expect me to believe you ate poison, but you're more than fine. That jest is in poor taste. He's like, oh, so that's what he's mad about. He's like, I'm sorry, I spit out the poison soup into a napkin, so I'm not experiencing any ill effects. But the truth is, I didn't really want to spill it out, she thinks to herself. And she's like, oh, if I actually drank the soup back there, my entire body would be tingling and going numb about now. Mama's like a drug addict, almost. Like, she's like,
I think she's like a masochist.
I would say she's like the people that chase a high, like not necessarily like drug addicts, but they're like, oh yeah, I'll jump out of an airplane because it's like, I'll do like being excited by something or being thrilled is like what I chase or whatever, like a thrill seeker.
But she doesn't seem to like actually care about like fun drugs, right? Otherwise she'd just do opium. She's very intentionally likes the poisoning herself. And yeah. I have to imagine it's because of like she's learning along the way while also getting high.
Yeah, for sure. I love this. It's like, can I have the leftover soup, please? It's like, are you out of your mind? It's like, I prefer ambitious. Yeah, because you left looking in fine fettle. Someone doubted the soup contained poison and actually ate it. She's like, man, I was like, which idiot was that? It's like, we now have a paralyzed minister and the banquet is in an uproar. In that case, just give him a dose. Oh, maybe. Okay. This is the thing she was preparing also, I bet. I totally forgot about her doing this. Like, give him a dose of this emetic I made yesterday. I created it to induce such violent vomiting that it feels like your stomach's been turned inside out. It almost sounds like a poison itself. I bet this is the thing that she's like, oh, maybe I should make that also.
Yeah, totally. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Because that's the kind of thing that she'd be like, maybe if I do get poisoned, I'll need to make myself throw up. So.
Yeah. You're on the money. I think that's right.
I think so, yeah. And here's kind of where we get the Sherlock Holmes Scooby-Doo mask off moment a little bit here. So yeah, due to the incident with the minister, the physician and his chambers are fully occupied, and so I apologize for asking you to come to a place like this. Concert Lishu, like it's quite she's smitten with Jinshi. It's like the heavenly maiden's back. Thank you for being so accommodating. They say that they want to speak to her lady in waiting, who is the sort of tasting girl for her. And they see her kind of scratching her arm. And they lift it. She has hives. So Mao calls out here is like, some people have certain foods they cannot eat. Fish isn't the only offending foodstuff, but there can be all sorts. Everything from eggs to wheat, dairy products, peanuts, so on. Similarly, I can't handle soba noodles. And they're like, that's what you can't eat? Even though you're fine eating poison?
I like how they didn't mention allergies. because I don't think that concept exists.
Well, the word didn't, but I think
the word didn't.
Some people have
the concept did, as Mama was mentioning.
Yeah,
but the word didn't.
For sure.
Yeah,
I mean, especially with stuff like they probably wouldn't have had peanuts in China in this age, but maybe they did. I don't know. But like wheat, dairy, shellfish especially, right? That's a pretty dangerous food allergy. So yeah. But yeah, and the side effects that Mama talks about here are very typical of food allergies, like chest grows tight, very hard to breathe, small quantity caused me to break out in a rash, slow to heal as I figured out what amounts I could handle. That's what being unable to eat something entails. At least she was very surprised at this, obviously. And here's kind of the big mystery. By some error, the meals meant for Lady Gyokyo and Lady Lishu were switched. Lady Lishu, to be more precise, it is mackerel and abalone that you can't eat. You were lucky that it ended in a case of hives this time, but it could be heart failure or labeled breathing during another. In the worst case, you could even die. If someone served you those foods knowing this, it's the same as them trying to poison you. And here's the
direct call out.
Yeah, literally. And it's a very good panel for this because she realizes she's been poisoned, and her lady in waiting is like, they know it's me. Yeah.
So do you think Lishu knew that it was her lady in waiting?
I don't know. I don't think we get enough of this chapter to really know if they knew, but it's possible. Or it might just be possible that I think that she probably, I don't think that the lady in waiting did it on her own. I think she was probably ordered or told by someone else to do it. I think there's more of a conspiracy
right?
here,
yeah.
would be my guess.
For sure. I also think that Lishu probably knew, but is too young to confront people about things like this.
Yeah, doesn't understand how to make sure she
because they mentioned how green and young she was, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then Mao here kind of goes to Lady Waiting, kind of tells her what to do if she's poisoned. He's like, don't ever forget that.
She threatened 2 ladies in this volume.
Yes,
with that face,
it's great. The art again. NekoKurage is a fantastic artist. I really like the art.
Yeah,
especially when it is a little different, when it's dark Mao. Dark Mao is my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here Jinshi kind of parses out that oh, you knew exactly what happened. You asked for the attendant. It's like, oh, I wanted to give her my instructions. Then you believe the server should be at fault? And she's like, I'm staying out of this. That is not for a lone mere lady's maid like myself to say. Then Jinshi's here. At least tell me this. Am I right in thinking that it was the virtuous consort who was targeted today? Provided no other dishes were found to contain poison, then yes, that would seem to be the case. So, virtuous consort. Go back and figure out which consort that is.
That's Lishu.
It's Lishu. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's the girl with the hives.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I think. Okay. Yeah. So she was the target of the poison. They basically tried to give her something she was allergic to and to poison her. Is what I'm getting.
Yeah. It seems that way, right?
Yeah.
Also, one thing we didn't mention is that Lishu was supposed to wear a white outfit, so as to play her role as a virtuous consort and kind of not be conflicting and wearing loud outfits to compete with the other consorts. It was viewed as rude or something. But Lishu wore pink or red or something like that.
I think it was pink. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah, and Mama thought to herself, "It's she probably just doesn't know how to read the room." Very well.
I'm thinking this is
probably wasn't intentional.
She's the dumb consort or the young one, at least.
But I think it wasn't what Mao thinks in that one. I think she knows how to read the room, and she's purposely antagonizing people. And it's probably because she's getting bullied like this, right? Yeah. She's probably trying to have a spine, or maybe, I don't know, put up a brave face or push people around so people don't mess with her. I don't know. That's what it comes off as me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested because like I said, this doesn't seem like the end of this story. This is part 3, so there's, I think, definitely a couple more. There's more to see here. If I had to guess, I think that it's going to be the other consort that we haven't really met yet, maybe, that did this, because it's
the wisdomous one.
Yeah, the oh god,
pure consort.
The pure consort, yes, the girl who was 30. So because this would mean that she's 35, I think now.
Yeah.
So
you think she's she's aging out of the job.
Yeah, or I mean, it might not even be that, because it might not be something we know about yet. But they've brought her up and talked about her and introduced her, and she hasn't appeared in the story. So if I had to choose someone to have, right, the idea of a mystery is that you meet the person who does it in the first quarter, and then it's revealed at the end that it was that person, right? Like it's Scooby-Doo, right? Like in Scooby-Doo, they show up at a place, there's the owner and the worker, and in the end, the owner's the guy who did it, and it isn't actually ghosts. So my guess is that she's been introduced. We've talked about her. We met her kind of early on. She was introduced in chapter 6. Just kind of talking about the consorts. So that would be my guess for who tried to poison her. I don't know necessarily the reasons why, but
yeah, because I think we can kind of easily rule out Gyokyo and
it's not or
the other one. Yeah. And we can rule out Jinshi and
it's not Jinshi
himself.
Like maybe it's the guy who was like a puppy. Maybe it's that guy, but I can't imagine.
Oh, the soldier guy?
Yeah, maybe this could be another thing where it's like, oh, I didn't want to kill her. Maybe if she was like, maybe it's if I make her weak, she would be let go, and then I could. But we already did that storyline, so I don't like. We basically did that storyline with the crazy dancing girl, right? Where it's like she's crazy, don't let her be a consort. She goes and marries the guy she wanted to. So.
I think it would be a little lazy if it was him, just because he was randomly introduced. It was like jarring.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how many more
reveal. Yeah.
I don't know how many more chapters we have of this. Like this could be like the whole next volume. It should be 4 more chapters. Like a lot of story could be left. So
I don't know either.
Because we do just kind of basically end with like, there's one kind of mystery solved, but then the new mystery is now who did it. It's now a who done it instead of how was it done or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Because they foiled the murder attempt.
Yeah,
and now it's like finding who tried to do it. Yeah. Did that guy who didn't believe that it was poison and ate the poison? Is he good, dude?
I think they said he was paralyzed. So no.
Oh, no.
So no, he's not good.
Dude, I would hate to tell people how I got paralyzed. If that's how it happened.
I didn't believe a little girl who said something was poisoned, so I tried it.
I saw this news article clipping of man says fuck you crocodiles and then jumps into a lake full of crocodiles and gets eaten by crocodiles.
Yep.
This is that situation.
Yeah. What did you expect would happen?
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. So I mean that is volume 2 there. Like I said, I think I enjoyed that one more than the first one. I think it had a lot more
Me too. I had a great time.
Yeah, and Dark Mao Mao is my new favorite character for sure.
Yeah, she was straight Batman in this one, kind of.
Yeah, literally, swear to me.
Yeah, she had like the intimidating Batman moments and the detective Batman moments.
That's okay. I like it even more now that you're comparing it to Batman, because yes, is it 17-year-old Chinese Batman is what we're doing.
Yeah, true.
Cool. Yeah. Anything else on the volume that we talk about, go over, theorize on, predict, anything like that?
No, I actually I'm like I don't know who did it. I don't think we have the information there yet because they just started on the mystery. But I think we'll have more speculation come volume 3. I think, like I said from the top, I really enjoyed the ride, but this was like a Pirates of the Caribbean 2 where it sets itself up for a 3rd volume.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely is the chapter 5 and then 6, 7, 8 are kind of set up and resolve one little thing, but there's a lot more going on here, which makes sense. This is based on a series of light novels, so this is probably a single light novel story that we're going through in 4, 5, 6 chapters. So
yeah, I'd say this feels like we're at like the halfway point for this particular arc.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's halfway-ish. Like there's maybe 2, potentially 3 or 4 more chapters, but
yeah. So tune in next time. We'll chat more about it then.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see if I can more notes here. Yeah, I like that it showed a more diverse Mao Mao. I put that she's carrying the story, but I do think the other characters are picking up. But Mao Mao and Jinshi are definitely the stars. Court Intrigue gets deeper. Yeah, steady uphill climb of a volume and story. Cool. I think
you're kind of right in that Mao Mao is carrying the story.
She's
at
great.
Least right now.
I do think the side characters are kind of slowly building themselves up, and the consorts are very kind of protected, and they aren't, they don't really act out. There's, like I said, there's a couple of the handmaidens that have more personality now, but Mao Mao is definitely the star here.
Yeah, she's very much the odd one out, but the odd one out that relishes the fact that she's the odd one out.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like really interesting to see what pisses her off versus what doesn't affect her whatsoever. You know?
People being mean to her. Nope. Poisoning someone you know that Mao told you that was poison. She'll Batman your ass.
And I still can't tell if it's because she actually cares about the person or if she cares about like people not listening to like information she already said or being dumb. I don't know. Does she hate like idiots or does she care about people? I don't know that yet.
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I definitely think she cares about other people. I think that's pretty clear. But I do also think that it's like, I told, like, you didn't believe me and I told you the truth and I hate you for not, like, it's hurting other people for you not being smart enough. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just negligence. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, good volume. I'm looking forward to volume 3. Hey, stick around, everybody. Thank you again for listening or watching. Next time we're doing volume 3, stick around for that. Be sure to check out Patreon if you want to support what we do and maybe get some more book clubs throughout the year. Check out Twitter, see more thoughts and posts. If you are a weekly manga reader of stuff like Shonen Jump and others, go check out the Weekly Manga Podcast right here on this channel. And I think that is all for this episode of the Apothecary Diaries Book Club read-through. So, adios.
Goodbye.
And don't forget to read more manga.